scheduling for some people. There was a lot going on that particular Saturday. Our mayor from Demopolis, he wasn't able to attend, and a few more people because they had another function going on. So we decided that we needed to try to do this function again because that the citizens of Marengo County deserve to hear the information of what's going on in Montgomery. So we do today have with us two of our state representatives, which I think are the best representatives in the state of Alabama.
All right.
Representative Jackson and Representative McCampbell.
All right.
And our super duper trooper, our Senator Bobby Singleton. He's always out there fighting for the people of the Black Belt County, and I'd like to thank them for all that they do. As you know, Republicans have a super majority in Montgomery, but in spite of that, these three individuals do the best that they can to represent us well in Montgomery. And I don't know about y'all, but I thank you for having someone that speaks up for us.
That's right.
These are the people that's our voice in Montgomery. And when you have problems, these are the people that you talk with. If you can't get in touch with one of them, you get in touch with one of the local officials, whether it be the mayor, city council members, the county commission, whomever that may be. If you direct your calls to us, we'll make sure that we forward your concerns to these three individuals so they can get whatever we need to get done taken care of. So on behalf of the Marengo County Commission, I would like to welcome you here today, where we have back Brother Patrick Champion. He is the chairman of the Marengo County Commission. District 1 is myself. District 2 is Jason Wyndham. District 3 is John Crawford. And District 4 is Calvin Martin. And I think he's here today. There's Calvin over there. So we do have a few of the city council members here, I think, of Demopolis, I know. Mayor, do you have any council members here today? Mayor, are any of your council members here?
Oh, I thought you were talking to Woody.
No, I'm talking to you.
No, but they're on the way.
Okay, all right. Well, I just want to, Mayor Collins, thank you for showing up. Council members, thank you for showing up. We got so many good people in this room that make things happen. We got Doug, which is over a hospital here in Marengo County. He does a great job with that. And there's some brilliant minds in this room. I'm telling you, it is. We have a lot that's going on in Marengo County right about now. Just got a school that we're finna build here.
All right.
Health and Science School.
All right.
Little old Marengo County is going to have a health and science school, 400 students from across the state of Alabama that want to be in the medical field. So it speaks volumes about the people that's in this room and how resilient we are in the work that we do. And I thank each and every one of you for coming out. And from that, I think, what was down there? Where are we next? Miss Charleston. Miss Terry Charleston. Come on up, the price is right.
Please turn it over to Representative McCampbell and Representative Jackson.
Okay, all right. Now, who's going to be first? Representative McCampbell, I know you probably going to come first, so you can take over. Thank y'all.
Well,
Yes. Well, I'm going to let Representative Jackson give us a prayer as we start. That's the way we'll.
Thank you. Thank you, Representative. We try not to do anything without inviting the Lord's presence. Father God, as we approach your throne on this beautiful evening here in Marengo County, Linden, Alabama, we want to thank you first and foremost for being who you are, the God of the universe, the creator, the maker of man, the giver of life and precious gifts. We thank you for these, your people, who have assembled here on this evening, Lord, to to controverse our intellect, that we can speak and we can listen. That's how we operate in a democracy. And we thank you for democracy. We thank you for an opportunity to serve the people of District 68 in the state of Alabama. We ask that you just invoke your presence right now. Speak to the hearts of these your people. We are ever mindful to give you the praise, the glory belongs to you. And we thank you for this day. Amen.
Amen.
See, because it seems like we're having a little bit of trouble. But I do want to say good evening to everyone, and thank you for taking time to come out today. I noticed as the commissioner was recognizing someone, they failed to recognize our DA. We have our DA here. Way back there, so somebody else. Well, it looks like I'm gonna have to make a lot of noise without this thing.
Here you go.
That one's working.
That just dropped. It's just dropped. I think they need batteries. They keep
I think they need batteries. Okay.
That one dropped. Soon as it drops, they go. Go and make a noise.
Yeah, test. I don't know. I guess it's just going on and on. But anyway, we've had a very interesting session this year, and there have been a lot of bills passed. I've spent a lot of time down at the mic talking about the different bills that have passed. But you know, that's the process. That's the process, and you have the majority side and the minority side. And the process is one where we have to try and get the best legislation we can out of Montgomery for the citizens of this state. So that's what we have done. Some of the bills that were passed, some additional tax was taken off of grocery. You know, that was one of them. And then we have, of course, last year we have had the bill to get the healthcare science school here in Demopolis. This year we got another allocation for that school. We have some of the board members here. We have some of the foundation members here. You know, and we appreciate what you all have done in terms of keeping it in the forefront. So I do want to say that. The other thing that I want to point out that has happened in this county, you see construction right over there. This is going to be the 4369 corridor. That has been a huge fight to retain and keep that project moving forward. We got 18 months of Governor Ivey, and I think we got it kind of in a position where they are going to have to actually finish the project. So, you know, there was a time we were worried that they might try and stop it before it got started. But that project is going to open up the north-south corridor from Tuscaloosa all the way down to Mobile. I think it's going to be a great boom for the towns and the counties that are located on that corridor. We have people that were trying to say that we just needed to do another lane on 65, a couple of more lanes on 65. But what they don't understand is you do not, if you change those lanes, you don't change the traffic flow. But when you build a new road, you take pressure off of that road and it will move over on this road. So a lot of the stuff, the cars, Mercedes, going down to the docks, a lot of them will probably come right down this road. So I'm looking forward to the finishing of this road in particular. We did a police bill this year. We did a back to blue bill. Now, some of it, a lot of it, I backed. Some of it, I didn't. And one in particular, and I tell people, my vote is a straightforward vote. One I didn't support was an immunity bill. Sure, I'm sorry. That was not one I was supportive of, was that immunity bill. And the reason being, you have to deal with situations where law enforcement, some of the actors are not good actors. Some of our law enforcement people are not good actors. The majority are not. Please don't ever forget that. The majority of our law enforcement people are great people doing a great service and will continue to do a great service. But I don't want to give a bad actor a pass, because it hurts the community, it hurts our people. So when we have bad actors, I want them to have to face the full extent of the law, just as you or I would have to do. Now, I don't want them to be, how can I say this? I don't want them to be treated in a manner that would be different, even though we would need to treat them in a different manner. I don't want it to be such that the average citizen can't bring a case or something of that nature against the city, the county, or the law enforcement officer for bad actors. Now, people may not agree with that, and that's okay. And as I said, people get to tell me every 4 years whether they agree with what I do or not. So, but I'm one of those that you don't have to worry about whether I'm going to defend my actions. I will always defend the actions I make. So that's one. The other ones, we've got some other bills of leave and workers' comp for teachers. That was one of the bills that was passed. The pharmacy payment bill, our local pharmacies were under pressure from PMIs, I think. PBMs. And so we passed that bill. And then we have, Apple has a health care plan for farmers that we also passed. So as you can see, it's a lot of bills that we passed. I think there's about 39 or so pages. I don't know how many pages. But anyway, there were several bills that we passed. And I don't know how you feel, but we're going to ask you in a little bit for questions. So if there are any bills that we did pass that you're concerned about, please let us know. We're going to make this as quick as we can. That's not going to be my opening. I'm going to turn it over to Representative Jackson, and then we're going to have the big hammer to come after that.
She'll sit me up. Who is setting you up? First and foremost, I want to say thank you all for being here. when I look around and I see the beauty of democracy, this is what democracy looks like. And we're here representing you in Montgomery. You don't get to Montgomery, but we are your voice in Montgomery. I want to thank AJ. I want to first thank Commissioner Armstrong for opening up this opportunity for us to be here on this afternoon, this evening now. But first and foremost, I want to thank AJ for what he has given us. Being in a minority and a super minority, he talked about some things. I tried to stop some bad stuff. You don't have to worry about me voting with good legislation. There's a bad legislation that I speak against because it's detrimental to the people I represent and detrimental to the state. And when you start pulling people out, government should have no say-so of what I do in my bedroom, of what my underwear look like. See, we got these culture wars that's been orchestrated by a super majority. And you know you can't win when you're fighting and you're gonna put God in trust on your balcony up there, and then you do everything against what God wants you to do. So that's my mission. That's what I do. I stand against it. Rural health is what I've been fighting for the last 20 years. Trying to get expansion of Medicaid in this state, and people don't want to do that, but they can start a culture war. We can build $4 billion prison, but we can't educate our children. We can't take care of the poor. We won't do it. We can do it, but we won't do it because somebody upstairs don't want us to do it. Hierarchy in the party. So what we do, when I looked at rural health, and we did do something for rural health this year, and I'm glad. I lost the hospital in Thomasville in September last year. Brand new hospital. Doors shut. I get sick where I go. Roll Hill Jackson, Demopolis, DOA, I'm gonna die on the way. So I fight for rural health. Mental health, I fight for mental health. I fight for children's health. But we gotta raise our children, and we take everything that is progressive toward them to become productive citizens, but we want them to be able to compete. We take away the educational opportunities. I'm going to say again, we had a pretty rough year, but we had some great bills to pass. When you profile the people because of who they look like and what language they speak, we're doing people an injustice. Alabama is one of the states that has been doing that because it's on the national level. They're doing it from the national level. People got to walk around with a passport in their pocket to make sure that who they say they are, they are. You know, we're in a very precarious place right now in our nation and state. If you don't have a passport, you better get one. Or you got a star ID on your driver's license. You know, this is where we are headed now. Totalitarian, autocrat. So we got to fight to save what we do have. That's the little democracy that we hold on to. We got to come together to hold on to that. I want to thank Governor Ivey for what she's done. She stood strong at Carter, 4369 Carter. Oh, they don't want it on this side of the state. They don't want to spend anything. They don't want to invest any funds over on this side of the state. But we got to compete with everybody else. So we are here because you sent us there. And we're going to continue to speak what is right and what is needful and what we can do to make our district more cohesive and more productive. And that's what it's going to take. But we got to work together to make that happen. The only way we're going to achieve anything in this state and nation is that working together. And I use the term working together works. You got to come together and work as a unit, moving in the same direction. So far we've gotten that done. So it's on the process of completion. We hope the next 3 to 5 years that we can crank up and drive. I hope the Lord let me stay here to see it. Yeah, right. And the school as well. I want to be there when they cut the ribbon for our school here in Marengo County. So I'm not going to prolong the time. I want to let our senator, and we're great to have Senator Singleton. I'm just going to tell the truth. This man fights. They stay up all night. We pull the plug at 11:59, they still be going. But he held up a lot of bad stuff during his filibuster. I'll let him talk about that, but we ought to give him an applause when he kind of, Senator Singleton, when you come forward right now. Good evening.
Good evening.
How's everybody doing? I don't know why you boys try to build me up to be all this super duper. They're going to put that target on you, man. We'll keep it on. But I want to say thank you, Marengo County. Thank you for the work that you do. Rob and others. I think Rob has moved to Montgomery now. He's on the hallway. He encouraged Steve down the hallways just about every day in Montgomery now. I'm Bobby Singleton, and I serve as the Senate Minority Leader. The Senate Minority Leader puts me in a leadership role in Montgomery. There's not too many times that the governor has a meeting with leadership that I'm not sitting at the table. So West Alabama is represented at the table with a voice. So with that, I have to be very much reminded that I am a state senator first. And while I am a state senator first, that's whether I'm a Republican or Democrat, it is my duty to do the very best for the state of Alabama to try to make sure that everybody is represented in those bills that we pass. Whether they're good bills, bad bills, however we may see them, but there has to be a voice for the people, because that's what our democracy demands, is that we the people, you send me there to be your voice. And so that's how democracy works. And we see it work very well in Montgomery. And let me say, despite and in spite of the lopsidedness of the Republican and Democrats, we do still get along pretty well. We do. We're pretty civil. Outside of what you see in D.C., we're pretty civil. We passed one of the largest education budgets this year, around $13.3 billion. For the first time, we saw education that is going to be for the children. We have always just passed education based on a number, a daily average attendance, and we passed a budget based on that. This is the first time in the history that we went to a new formula that we funded education based on students' needs. Student need. And so when we started getting intentional about student needs, we're going to start seeing a very much big difference here in the state of Alabama and how we educate our children. Yes, we were able last year to be able to give school choice, and people were able to be able to choose to go to school where they want to. So this time, and I was kind of worried about after we did school choice, so if everybody can pick up and go, who do you leave in some of these rural public schools that are already struggling, who don't have the transportation to go somewhere else, and what they're going to do when the numbers are going down and you don't have the number of students? Because, you know, it used to confuse me about when I used to hear somebody say, we can only afford a half an English teacher. How do you get a half English teacher? So as I went through the education process, I learned that because of your daily average attendance that says that you can only have this many students in the classroom, you'll only get these many teacher units. And so then, therefore, it takes extra local money then to be able to make up that other half. And when you're in a county that doesn't have local dollars, now you got to deal with the PE teacher teaching English. Or the math teacher trying to teach PE. Or something like that. People are out of their comfort zone. So now we'll be going to a weighted system. We can now fund education based on need and then put those personnel in the school system to meet the need. And
And this is the first time in the state of Alabama we'll ever do this. And so we are now looking for teachers. I went on a junket just this past summer to India and Korea, Vietnam, looking for math and science teachers to come back to the state of Alabama and teach. We got to start growing our own. If we're going to be successful, if we're going to be competitive in a world market, we got to be competitive and grow our own local teachers right here at home. That's why I'm so proud of this health science school. It's a challenge for us. And I want to say right now for the people of Marengo County, thank y'all. Because the day that the challenge was offered to y'all, you have not stopped until this point, and you have met that challenge, and you have exceeded that challenge. So I want to thank you for Marengo County today. Because when we announced that school, and they wanted the governor to announce that school was going to be in West Alabama, other people who are not from our area started working together to make sure that we didn't get it. They were calling people, we're the only school that had to go through a consultant agency to go around the state and see where the school would be best fit. The School of Science, the School of Math and Science in Mobile just said we want to be in Mobile. And guess what? It was in Mobile. When the School of Arts wanted to be in Birmingham, guess what? It was just in Birmingham. When the space school up in cyber school in Huntsville came through, we sit and watch that go on because we could have gotten against that, but we said that's a great thing. They wanted it in Huntsville, that's a great fit. Guess where they're at? In Huntsville. But when we announced that we wanted this school in West Alabama, everybody thought it was the worst thing in the world. So we have a lot to prove when it gets up and running. And that's why it's important that we continue to fight, because people think that we don't deserve anything over here in West Alabama.
All right.
We have to fight every day for the little few things that we do get. That's why I'm on that mic trying to fight for West Alabama. Because other people don't believe us. If we don't believe in who we are, then you might as well not send me back down. I might as well stay at home if I can't be your voice. You know, I get people calling me and texting me the night that I was on the mic and we were filibustering. I got death threats the next day. People were calling my family, telling me how they're going to kill me, meet me, until I told one gentleman, I was on my way to Tuscaloosa, and he called me all kind of MFs and BITCHs and all of this stuff. And so I said, where are you, young man? He said, I'm in Hoover, Alabama. I said, I'm in Tuscaloosa. I'll be there in about 30 minutes. I said, I'm going to see how bad you are, because I'm not going to be bullied, okay? And so I wasn't going to Hoover. I'm 63 years old. I ain't trying to fight. He sounded like he was from a young kid, you know. I ain't tussling. So in about 30 minutes, psychologically, I called him back. I said, where are you? I'm in Hoover. I said, I'm not leaving Hoover. I said, I put me somebody. But, and he said, hey, man, we ain't got to do all this. It's don't have to happen like that. I said, well, don't you be calling me, cursing me out. So I got that bullet straight. But we go through that. We go through that just because we're trying to represent our area. Just because we're trying to do what we're supposed to do. We were able to put money in for that school this year. Rob came in, and that's when you know you got people who are thinking, because I had never even thought about it. Rob came in and said, hey, Bob, we got to get a tax exempt for the school. It was almost coming down to the last days. We couldn't run it out the Senate and then get down to the House fast enough. So Rob runs down to the House, get the bill passed in the House, and then let it come up to the Senate, and then I had to pass it in the Senate because it was a tax bill. So we have to make sure that people are on the ground thinking for this area and trying to represent it. And as they say about this road, we're having to fight for this road every day. Every day, just to keep this highway coming through here. We're having to fight for this road. And we're going to continue to fight for the road because we deserve this highway. Folks are trying to take it from us. I know the lieutenant governor, and he hasn't been bashful about it. He feels that we should take the money and put it on I-65 because he got caught in traffic one night and he was being impatient. I was in that same traffic that night, fell asleep, woke up at 1 o'clock in the same traffic, and traffic just going around me. Because I've been sitting there on these folk roads sleep. Lord, the good Lord be looking out for me. He does. But we want to continue, we want to thank y'all for the fights, for supporting us. And, you know, out of that $13 billion that we get, we're making sure that we are sending money back to our schools. Medicaid right now is $233 million in the hole, but we won't expand Medicaid. $233 million, and then plus Congress in the big, beautiful bill, as the president say, the big, pretty bill,
800.
that's almost $800 billion cut to Medicaid in that bill. We've been seeing mothers in our area, and I've been getting phone calls, I don't know what's going on here now, that people, food stamps, SNAP cards have been hacked. Mothers are losing their money in the state and or the federal government are not going to replenish that money on those cards. So people are going hungry until the next SNAP comes out next month. And that's a problem. But when you look at the big pretty bill, that's another $400 billion being cut from SNAP program. And where is all of that going? And how is that going to affect our state? We're going to have to buckle down because it's going to have a direct effect upon our state. And we're going to have to buckle down and make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to do. So we got to be competitive. And that's why it's going to take all of us working together. There can't be no me and you and us and them. If West Alabama is going to grow the way everybody else on the outside against us, for those of us on the inside, we must work together if we're going to survive. We must. And it's going to be for us that the state is going to grow our area in our direction. Believe you me, we got the land mass, we're growing with our infrastructure. I sit on the broadband infrastructure. We're running broadband all through our rural counties. If you see a white pole with a little orange top on it, that's broadband. That's your internet service coming through communities. Okay? That's what we got to continue to grow is our infrastructure, making sure that we're doing what we're supposed to do and being present at meetings. When the governor calls a meeting, I'm very seldom do I miss a meeting. Because I'll tell y'all a story before I sit down. I was asked to go to a leadership meeting one Wednesday morning. Well, I was in Montgomery and I had been hanging out that Tuesday night at a couple of bars, and my head was kind of heavy that Wednesday morning. When I woke up, I was late. When I got to the meeting and I got to the door, I heard them say, let's hurry up and get the meeting before Bobby get here. Really? So I opened the door. So what y'all trying to get done before Bobby get here? Oh, nothing. And guess what? I have not been late for another meeting in Montgomery City. I'm the first to be at that state house in the morning, and I'm one of the last to leave that state house in the evening time. Because people are cutting deals around us. When you miss the meetings and you're not there, you can't complain.
Right.
When the bread got broke up at the table, you wasn't there. So that's why it's important that when we get on these committees, and I think AJ and Jackson and I serve on a whole lot of different committees. And I know I do. I spend more time in Montgomery than I want to spend in Montgomery. I need to be somewhere trying to make some money for my family, but I got to be in those meetings that are important. That's right. Because if West Alabama is not at the table, then we're not going to get anything, people. So I want to thank y'all again, Marengo County, for the work that y'all continue to do, the resilience that you show as a community, and let's continue to work together so we can build this community. We build our area because nobody else can ride in here on that white horse and save us. We got to save ourselves. Thank you very much.
All right, now all your questions have been answered because the big hitter has hit. All right, but actually we want to open it up for questions, because we are here to hear from you. We want to know how you're feeling about anything, any questions, any concerns. So we have some mics here, and if anybody has a question, just Doug.
Just one quick second. What it's being determined as being streamed.
Oh, this is being streamed, so we need you to get a mic that
And be careful what you say.
I just wanted to start out by saying thank you, AJ. Thank you, Senator Singleton. Thank you, Representative Jackson. You know, can't hear it?
there you go.
So, I just want to start off by thanking the three of you all. I was honored to be there over the last 3 legislative sessions, and I got to watch you guys work your magic, and I saw you fighting for this area, and I want to say thank you for the work you did for the school. I want to also take the time to thank you all, because I know you all three supported the Rural Hospital Tax Credit Program that started this year, and we really appreciate that. I wish I could say it's going to solve all of our rural health issues, but it's not. It's another small Band-Aid, and so I really appreciate hearing all three of you say that you still strongly support Medicaid. I know we don't know what's going to come out of D.C., but certainly, I hope that by the time we get to next year's legislative session, we will know what's coming out of D.C. and we can strategically work together to try and expand Medicaid in the state. That's the only way we're going to save our rural hospitals. And unfortunately, we've seen 2 or 3 more close, as you know, in the last few weeks, and we're going to see more before we get to next legislative session. So I always say every day is, another day that ticks by that we're going to lose more rural health care services. And we can't afford it in this region. We have the highest incidence rates of infant mortality. We don't even have an OB now between here and Mobile. We've had to pause our program because we were losing $70,000 a month trying to deliver those babies, and we just couldn't absorb it and keep the doors open to do other things. So I appreciate the fact that you guys are fighting for us. Anything that we can do to support you up there. I know it's an uphill battle when we talk about Medicaid expansion, but we thank you, and we'll certainly be there to support you in any way we can.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
On behalf of Jill Jackson, the Executive Director of Alabama Educational Association, for our retirees, we want to thank you all. You all are always ever present with us. If you all would y'all please continue to help with that north end and the south end and have them on board to help us little old school teachers. We have not received a cost of living raise since 2008. That's right. So we need your help. We need your help. And secondly, here's another quick question. Okay, do you all have any idea your time schedule for the completion of the corridor? I don't know, is it going to be like Highway 80? When I came here, I was 20-something years old, and I think I was like 50 when they finally finished. AJ, will our grandchildren drive us? Or I want to see it. I want to be here.
Well, it's a 5-year project. Is the way it's set up. It's set up to be 5 years. When we pass that tax, you see throughout the state, there's Rebuild Alabama, all these blue signs throughout the state. That's one of those projects where you can actually see your tax dollars at work. When we said that the money from that gas tax, every bit of it would be put out on the roads, I can tell you right now, every bit of it is out there on the roads. None of it is being used for anything other than that. So it's a 5-year project, and so you will get a chance to ride. All right.
Thank you. It is as pay as you go, as what the plan is. I want to address, you mentioned something about retired educators. You know, and there's a foundation set up for it. And let me say, last year we had all the plans for all the funding in our gaming field. And it's so unfortunate it went in the last minute on Senate floor. I don't know if it's ever going to come back, maybe after the next election that we will have, that we got the opportunity to try to do that again. But all those plans, funding for Medicare, funding for rural health, funding for mental health, teacher retirees, educator retirees, or state employees, all this was set up for that process. $1.some billion was involved in the process. And they gutted the bill and did what they wanted to do with it. And we was left holding the bag and nothing happened. But getting back to where we are right now, there's some projects that are going on in all over the state, as you said, Rebuild Alabama. Bridges are being put together, being taken out and rebuilt. It's a delay that you see going around. What the floods have done, washed out covers in some rural areas. So we got to go back and do all that work over again. So once it's done right, maybe it'll stand the test when the wind and the water come blowing through. So we can't do a band-aid report. We got to do it right and make sure that the people have access to their homes and to the market. That's what we're trying to do.
Any more questions?
Now,
All right.
you know I can't stand it, AJ. You know, when I got to be mayor almost 5 years ago, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what was going to go on in West Central Alabama democracy. And I got to give so much credit. I look at this row of young men right here and the work that they put in. And Mr. Brewer and our city councilor, Mr. Jones. But none of that would have been possible at all without the three of you. And I've got to give the credit to y'all and the thanks to y'all. We've been blessed in democracy in West Central Alabama. We've seen a growth spurt in the last 4 or 5 years that is unprecedented. You know, I was thinking back when you were talking about the school a minute ago. I'd been mayor 1 week, and I got a phone call from Montgomery. Somebody said something about that school. And I thought, dude, what? You know, this isn't possible. But long after that, I got to talk to y'all, and I realized it was possible. And it has come to fruition. But I want to say thank you, but I got a phone call today, and it was not intended for me, it was intended for you. Somebody called me and said, Mayor, I saw where they passed that bill with alpha. Now I want you to tell me what the definition is of a farmer. I got an acre and a cow. So now, I'm going to turn it over to y'all. What is the definition of a farmer?
Don't worry, you the one.
You gotta have 5. You gotta have 5 guys.
I have an answer for that. My sister has the 3 of these planters, and she talks about her back 40 every day. And when she's growing in her planters. So I'm going to define that as a farm. So maybe the reality is its Alpha is a corporation. It's the Alpha itself is not just a farm. But this is designed to make health care affordable for farmers. But anybody that's a member of Alpha Corporation can actually be, get that insurance. So maybe all of us are farmers. I got a few plants out there, so I guess I may be considered a farmer also. You want to answer? All right.
Okay, we talked about rural health and rural education. I want to talk a little bit about rural businesses. So I just want to know, this is probably not on your plate yet, but I want to drop a nugget here. What do you guys, or when multinational companies come into the state of Alabama, is there a way possibly that it could be written into contracts where a percentage of those suppliers would come out of little communities like ours.
You want to?
That's a good question.
It's a really good.
Yes, we can work that out if the suppliers are available, yes. This year, I introduced a bill, I guess it's SB 5 something. I forget bill numbers, I'm sorry. But what we did was I took $5 million out of what we call the 21st Century Fund and put it into the Department of Commerce to create our first rural economic development office. And that will be set up in Montgomery to deal with rural economic development, to talk about different incentives, how do we offer incentives, how we'll be able to, because right now you come to a rural community, the only thing they have to give up is an abatement of taxes. There's nothing else that they have to offer, unless you're gonna give up some land and say, come here in my area. But this office is gonna be a very innovative office on how do we work through putting together packages to be able to make sure that we got a principal business and those suppliers to be able to supply that business coming into our rural areas. And that will be somebody out of Montgomery who will concentrate only on rural communities. And that's all that they would do. It's not just with the big companies, because I tell people all the time, 50 jobs in Marengo County is just as good as 3,000 going into Tuscaloosa and Mercedes. Because 50 jobs with 50 families that having health care and being able to provide for their family means a lot to this community. That's 50 more people working. So we have to start thinking about how do we be able to develop on the small business scale, because all of our economic development and commerce has been around the big industry. And a lot of times those industries are not coming to our area because they start looking at our population. Can they get the workforce over here, there? But a 100-job business can do it. A 200-job or a 300-job can very well fit into these communities. And sometimes that's why we got to start thinking out the box. That's what this rural office is going to do, to be able to help create some of those incentive packages, to be able to bring people in, and to make sure that we are getting participation from people in our areas. So yes.
I just want to put a footnote to this. That's why it's so important to complete corridor. Infrastructure. 4 lanes. See, a lot of suppliers don't want to come into an area when they don't have a way out. You got to have 4 lanes. You got to have interstate. What we got now would be the corridor from 4369 corridor. So that would help spur these industries to help set up in these areas. So that's what it's going to take. And that will be eliminating that process when it's complete, and then you're going to see explosions on this side of town.
And to that extent, if you have any ideas regarding that, with this new office that is actually going to be set up, we need to hear from small businesses. What is it you actually need to receive from that office? Because, you know, I won't be there checking on what they are doing every day, but if I have something coming from the people in my district or the people in the state that are telling me what they need, then I can make sure they get this in front of them. And as they have it in front of them, I can follow up on it to make sure that they are, you know, at least making contact with people that have put in the interest. So, next.
Okay, so I have, first I want to thank you all for the work that has been done with the corridor there. When I first, I'm like Woody, when I think that started the first year I got in office, and I may have called you because I was like a deer in the headlights because I had no idea what was going on. So we are excited about it. Of course, there have been a reservation about it as well, but I'm excited about what it's going to mean for the city of Linden. My question, however, is from the education end, because I am an educator as well. The Principal Act started, I want to say last year, the Alabama Principal Act started a couple years ago. What I would like to ask you all to keep in mind is that our administrators are not principals, but we've served, some of us have served as principals. some of the opportunities that are being offered with the Principal Act and some of the raises that they get do not come to us. I'm an administrator, but whenever raises come up for administrators, I'm not looked at as an administrator in that regard. I know of a case where one administrator, when they did this one big raise a few years back for all administrators, that person did not receive that raise because we're not looked upon as administrators like school principals. We are administrators. So I would like to, whenever you all are talking about raises and whenever you are talking about raises for administrators, keep in mind that there are administrators who are not at the school level. I'm at the district office. I'm considered an administrator. I do have people that I'm gonna say that I'm the boss, because I'm not the boss. Dr. Thurman is the boss. But I do have people that I supervise. And I would like to have opportunities as well. I can't participate in the Principal Act, whereas I should be able to, because I'm not an acting principal now. However, I have served as a principal in the past. So whenever you all are doing raises for administrators, make sure that you include all school administrators and not just school principals, because that's something that has been missed out on quite a bit over the last few years.
I think when we did that bill, there was a problem with getting principals and assistant principals in these particular areas, in certain areas. And so that bill was designed actually to try and encourage people to actually work within the schools themselves, because that's where we were having a problem. I understand what you're saying, and maybe we need to address that in a different bill. But that particular bill was designed specifically to encourage people to go into administration as principal or an assistant principal, because we had, I think we had some schools over in Sumter County had no assistant principals, and only, yes, but that was actually throughout the state. But I know in Sumter County that was an issue with one of those, and the reason I remember why we were so adamant at what we were doing about it. So
right. And I get it. But what I'm saying is I had just moved out of being a principal when that hit. And so the school that I left actually moved 5 percentage points or whatever. We went from being in whatever that is, the State Department comes up with, but we were moved several points to where we were no longer a failing school. I was the one, and I'm not saying me alone, but my staff and I were the ones who facilitated that, but I was not able to reap any benefits or whatever of that. And so I just would like to just say, just keep in mind whenever you all come up with something like that, that there are other administrators in the school and that we deserve those raises and everything just like everybody else.
I agree with you, school council.
I was a school
And
counselor.
I got a big time. They got. I think I'm doing all the work. I'm keeping y'all out of trouble by talking to these children. So think about us. I hear what you're saying. We will include that. I hope you'll let me get a bill, sing a bill for that. Thank you. Thank you for just listening to it. We got ears. We want to hear.
Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening. I want to go back to the lottery bill. And I want you gentlemen to tell me or us, what is the hang up from what you all hear in the State House whenever the bill come up? The reason why we're allowing all this money to go to Georgia, Florida, Mississippi, and Tennessee. Because if I want to gamble, I'm going to gamble. Now, somebody might come up with a different excuse, because people are still gambling. But I want from you all's point of view, what's the hang up over there?
If you just read Matthew 23, the Lord called Pharisees, scribes, and hypocrites. And that's what we're dealing with, hypocrites. Self-righteous folks.
People don't want to see you progress. They can hold you down. They will cut their nose off and hold you down, even though they will suffocate from their drive from their blood. But this is where we are in Alabama. We've been this way a long time. To get that close, but just somebody from the religious right that said, you know, we all going to hell. I say, hey, let's go. Come on, we're going. Because your hypocrisy ain't going to get you there. My gambling might get me. You can't measure sin. Ain't no scale from 1 to 10. But hypocrisy is the problem why we're not moving forward with the gaming deal. It was more than just lottery. It was full-scale gaming.
And you have a lot of that, and plus you have different interest groups that are out there. Let me tell you, what we've done is we've messed around and allowed every state around us to get some form of game. Okay? Tennessee, Florida, Georgia, Mississippi, Louisiana, they either have a combination of casino and or lottery. And those interests in those states know that they get Alabama to feed off of them. So they come over to our state and hire lobbyists on our side of the line to keep Alabama from being able to get it so we can continue to bring money to them. You got the Choctaw Indians out of Mississippi that hires a group that right there in the State House every day. He's on contract to try to keep gaming out because Mississippi don't want Alabama to have it. You got Georgia group has a lobbyist in Georgia, Sanders, Florida, and people out of Tennessee. They are hiring lobbyists to come in our state to work to keep us from being able to prosper for ourselves. But that's no real excuse because if we're gonna look out for us, we can vote whether they pay the money to those people or not. On that vote that night, when we called the vote in the Senate, we had counted 23 votes. We only needed 21. We thought we had 2 to go with. So when the roll was called, we got down to 21, and one of the gentlemen who had already voted yes turned around and flipped his vote to vote no. And that's what killed the bill. That's how we didn't get but 20 votes out of the 22, because 2 other people walked. They just left. The word was no good. But we still could have had it with 21. And so but all of that has come because somebody on the hallway got to them. It's some special interest. It's always get that one member to tell them to hold out. And that's what happened in this last bill. Because we thought we had it. That's why we put the bill up, because we had counted 23. We didn't just call a roll. We had went around the room and counted. Mark our paper. We were going to say yes, we would no. And people giving us our word, their word. 2 of those 23 walked, left before their name got called, and one of them changed his mind. That's what happened the last time.
I would like to thank Senator Singleton for his support of the COLA bill for state employees.
Thank you.
A lot of people might not think that that's much, but it's important for state and education.
Yes.
But I also would like you to think about it. If you can get all state employees and retirees and education a raise. Thank you.
All right, anybody else?
While she's coming, I think if we don't see a downturn in the economy where education dollars will fall, there's been a structure set up for a COLA in the state. We set the structure up last year. So we're just looking at how do we make it and fund it so we can put it over there. So if we put this money over in a rainy day, it may be that we can give a raise every 5 years. It can build and replenish itself as you continue to give a raise, and you may be able to give a raise without having to come back to the legislature. That's what they're looking for this fund to be able to do. But we got to get it to that point where the infrastructure has already been set up for that. I'm sorry, here you go.
I record every week our state in review on public television. very few times do I watch it that Bobby Singleton's not standing in the That man is working for us. We need to appreciate him.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
I can go quick. You know, I'm not going to get out without saying anything. I'm Rob, by the way, and guys, I've had a lot of time in the State House this year. First started the year before in supporting our healthcare school. One of the things we learned through that process is you got to show up. And y'all know that, but you got to be that face that's there. You mentioned lobbyists. I mean, they're the faces that are there. And so if you want something big, go and be present in their lives and supportive and all that stuff. Fortunately, I've been put in a position to be able to do that this past year through the CPAs. And so I'm representing the CPAs, but also representing our school, our healthcare science school, our area, and unofficially our area, because I was born in our hospital and living here. And so this is my home, just like it is y'all's. So again, just like everybody else, thank y'all for everything you do for this area, for all the things that we need, the infrastructure, the roads, the broadband. The healthcare science school is a game changer. And it was a fight. You're exactly right. It was a multi-year fight. We had a lot, to be able to have a project that was the governor's top priority, and it was bipartisan support for that thing, but there was some bipartisan, on the other side too. But it really was, it wasn't the idea of the school, it was where it was located. Everybody wanted it there. It was such a great thing that they wanted it in their district. And I don't blame them. I'll tell you, I'd want it in Pell City too, if I were you, Lance. I mean, pick one.
That's right.
Or Donnie and Dothan or whoever else. So, but we want it here, and we're here willing to fight for it. Our community has put up property and money, and the Marengo County supported the way they have, and supporting our healthcare institution, because we know that with the school added to the hospital, that just makes it so much more valuable to all of West Alabama, makes it all viable, and it increases our chances for growth, which we know is already starting to happen, as the mayor said, in Marengo County. So thank y'all again for your vision of supporting that, but the fight is not over. We're close to groundbreaking. We're a couple months away. Y'all will be there for sure when we do break that ground in the fall, but we've still got, there's still going to be continually a challenge. Nothing about this school has been easy. It's all been hard, but anything worth having is hard. So again, I'm glad you mentioned PBS. Bobby picked up Big Bird the other day and gave him a ride off 3rd Avenue. And I'll let you address that. Thank y'all again very much for fighting for West Alabama, for our school, and all the things that we need here to be successful.
Thank you.
How you doing? Ron Price. I hear a lot about the school and how it's going to be a great impact for us. Will it be too much to ask if just the Black Belt area itself ask for an allotment of how many we could put in there ourselves? If we're going to grow our Black Belt, we need to put some Black Belt students in. Can we get some kind of incentive on kids from the Black Belt coming into that school?
It is in the legislation, and Rod can probably answer it a little bit better.
And it's a great question. There are really two things about that. And number one is we do, there are big schools, and Senator Singleton encountered this on the Senate floor because he had somebody come up and go, we got a healthcare science program in our school. It's fabulous. Congratulations! I'm glad you live in a rich neighborhood. Good for you. And it was fabulous. But we do want to encourage opportunities in rural areas of Alabama to come to our school. We do have an initiative to take from all 67 counties, but primarily rural. I mean, that's our focus, is to bring them in from rural and send them back to their rural communities so that every rural community has a chance to have a healthcare workforce. And we have training. Now, you have to be careful as to how many kids you take. And I'm with you. If we could train all of our kids as black belt kids, that'd be great too. But we've been taken from Linden and Demopolis and other school systems. They don't necessarily want us taking all of their kids. So there's a niche of kid that we're going to be looking for. That we feel like will commit to being a healthcare worker, will commit to, bathing in healthcare for 4 years and coming out a productive worker with a high-paying wage, go right to work at Doug's hospital. Doug would love nothing more than to have, we're going to educate 100 kids per year, 100 seniors per year, we hope. He would love nothing more than for 25 of them to go to work for him tomorrow, because he needs them. But this is a state project, so we have to be sensitive to from Huntsville to Mobile, we have to be sensitive to the needs of their rural areas too. But we'll do our best to take, we're going to be taking some local kids. But we've got to be careful not to raid our schools either and hurt them at the same time. So, and we have to be careful to be inclusive all over the state of Alabama, not just the black belt.
And to that point again, this school is not going to just be educating people that will be your doctors, okay? This school will be educating people that will be your CNAs, your respiratory therapists, LPNs. So we're starting them, we're trying to find a student that has a desire to go into that curriculum. And then once we find that student, give them, expose them to all these different areas. Some may decide, well, I want a job right out of high school. They will have the credentials right out of high school to be able to go directly into the workforce. It's kind of like when I was younger, we had trade schools that were a part of the system. That was one right over there, I think. You had people who could come out and were welders or had auto mechanics, had builders, So this is going back to that same principle. And hopefully we'll be able to have enough people coming out in this area that will, because that is over the 4 years or the 3 years that they are here, they'll be going back into their local community during the summer, and working within the facilities in their local communities. So that's what we're trying to do, is make sure we grow our own force, our own workforce in healthcare.
So I have a question or observation on them. So is there an initiative, because I love the idea, and I think I shared this with you all the last time we met. I love the idea as mayor of having this school in Demopolis, because it's going to bring all these folks to Linden, and we're so excited about that. But is there an initiative because we do have a trade school right there, right here, that belongs to us in Linden City School District. So is there any initiatives out there or anything to help us get those up and running? I don't know how many across the state have closed down for whatever reason, but everybody may not want to be a nurse. They may want to be an electrical engineer. They may want to go into mechanics or something. Is there an initiative in the state anywhere that can help these trade schools, as y'all call them? We used to, what do they call them? Vocational schools. Are there any initiatives to help get those vocational schools going? Because now, not only are you helping out that area in Demopolis, where you can come and help us out here in Linden and get these kids ready to be mechanics or whatever else they want to be, that may not qualify to get into that health and science school there in Demopolis. And I'm just asking. I'm excited about it as mayor, but as an educator, that's my question.
Well, I don't know if anything particularly to look at that overall concept of training mechanics and all of that. We're trying to work with our 2-year college system expanding their programs out to be able to do some other things. But let me just give y'all a brief snippet of a project that I know that I've been involved in working on for the last 2.5 years, a project with Apple. Apple has 8 academies around the world, and there's only one in the United States. It's in Detroit, Michigan. And there was a leadership group that flew up to Detroit. Well, we went out to Apple first, went to Detroit, and we came back and we put together a concept of trying to start an Apple Academy here in the state of Alabama. And we've been working with Tim Cook, being that he's an Auburn graduate. And so just this year in the budget, we put $30 million in the budget to kick this project off. And this project will be for the black belt. It will be a black belt project for all 18 counties in the black belt, partnering with Alabama State University. Alabama State has a building downtown. They're going to renovate that building where it's going to be the hub. Alabama Power is partnering this. They're going to run broadband out to all of these areas, connect centers like this. We will start using that center as a training center to train kids in cybersecurity, train them in app development, training them in how to code. Because right now, we're bringing on, just 2 days ago, our new partner, the United States Air Force, is telling us that they need more coders than they can actually have soldiers. So they need to be able to contract coders just like we need nurses. They need people to code. And so that is going to be, they're not just only training kids, but they're training adults and all for the workforce. And they're trying to create a whole new ecosystem workforce across the black belt to be able to keep up with what they feel are going to be future jobs that are coming in. So I do know that that's a level of training that is going to be coming in. That project probably going to be announced and kicked off sometime in October with the governor, and it's going to take in all 18 black belt counties, and we're going to be trying to train these people in different areas of technology and cybersecurity and all. So I think that's going to be huge for the black belt.
Yes, it will be, but what she's saying, not disputing, that's a big project. I like that. You know, Marengo County has a process going. They have cosmetology in one school. They have, I think over here at A.L. Johnson, they got electrician, carpenter, and all that. See, that can be done, but it's done through their local schools board. That building probably has equipment still in it, right? But you're gonna need teachers. Now they bust those kids from one school to another, from Sweetwater to Dixon's Mill, then over to A.L. Johnson. So and then we work with community college, but with dual enrollment. So when they finish high school, they have a certificate to go on the job. This AI thing can be big. That's what you're talking about, Senator Singleton. And I'm glad that Alabama State is on the ground floor bringing this. But this is where the future is with our young people. But I know where we need a mechanic, we need a plumber, we need an electrician. That's what we want. A man come to my house and he said, "I'm charging you $100 for why you want to do anything." My HVAC was like, "You need some Freon." Hey, $500 for Freon. I mean. So this is where we are. And so that's what you're saying, that's what we need, and I think it's something we need to look into. Now, ma'am, educator, counsel, thank you. Are there any other questions?
I have one. Well, I think I can talk loud. This may be a personal comment as well. If there's anything in place, you know, being a housing crisis, we have a housing problem.
we doing good things within our communities. And we educating our kids, but we're still losing. We're losing to other cities because activities that will bring them here, like many of us have to take our families to other towns. And they don't have anywhere to really live. I'm in the process of building homes now. But during that process, I lost grants to help individuals. So is anything in place to help the housing so we can continue to build homes for individuals? We have people want to move here, but they can't find housing. Amen. We have people that want to rent here, but the rent is outrageous. So are we looking to bring individuals in? I'm building 6 homes right now, but yet still, through the process, I lost grants because of the cuts. So what are we doing in the housing area to help individuals and keep our young people here? And you know, I came out of a family of 7. You'll be lucky to have a family to have 2 kids now. Have school systems fight over the same kids. Because they're moving away, they're not moving in, they're moving out. I heard the senator say something about what are we looking at specific for the blackback area to bring some here to make you want to stay here or want to work here. We got the skills, we got the formula, but what we're working on to make sure that the formula stay here in our area to grow. Are we looking at that beside, you know, we saying we got the land, we got this, we got the dirt, we got this, but what we have that they can use to make someone want to come in and keep it and live here? Because we're in a house crisis. We're losing. So what on the table for that if I'm asking that question correctly?
Well, I got the mic. That's a challenging question, I guess, all over the U.S. because there's a housing crisis all over the U.S. Marengo County has a real housing crisis. That stifles your growth. You know, when you don't have affordable places for people to rent, or we don't have houses for them. And one of the things over in Pickens County, you know, they brought in that federal prison over there in Pickens County. Do you know 80% of the people that work in that federal prison live in Tuscaloosa? And that's simply because the housing, the community, people have not, developers don't see a reason to come into an area and develop in that area because they are afraid they won't be able to sell the houses. And even if they can sell the houses, then at what price point would they be able to sell those homes? That's a real big challenge, and right now I don't know that we have anything that can answer that question, but I'm sure one of these gentlemen over here might have an answer.
It's a national problem, man.
You're thinking of that, aren't you, Senator?
Let me stand it. You know, let me just say, first of all, there's not a concentration in the budget that we deal with on housing. State of Alabama does not finance housing in our budget, so that's not something that comes up to us. While we do try to pass bills for incentives for people to be able to, we do have an arm and a wing called the Alabama Housing and Finance Authority. I sit on that authority board, where developers will come with their plan and be able to find dollars to be able to go and build affordable housing in communities. And so that's one of the only areas that we have, because those dollars are coming out of the federal government, come to the state, and the state can be able to issue those out through a contractual piece to be able to make sure that they can build affordable houses. And I guess the question becomes now, what is affordable housing now? Affordable housing used to be defined by HUD, but HUD has basically gotten away out of the housing market to what they're doing. So there's no real inventory of housing anymore that even HUD was building. And so now we just got to get back and redefine what is affordable housing. How do we make it? And housing is one of those things where we have to come together from the local government, the county government, the state government, and the federal government, and be able to work together. That was the only way you're going to get a solution, because neither one of us are really funded at a level to where I can say to you, you can come over here and I'll get $5 million and give you can go and build some houses. That's not going to happen in any state. However, if you are a developer, we can be able to put tax incentives in place, tax credits in place for you to be able to go out and build to where it makes it affordable for you to be able to go and buy the materials to build a home. And then plus we got to have the people in the market. It's jobs, it's all other things that be able to create housing. If you got an industry that shows up here tomorrow with 500 jobs, you may get 30 new houses built because people may want to build and live around in that area. If you get a new school coming in areas, a lot of times you get new housing coming in. So we got to start making that plan from the local level, and that's where the planning has to happen. It doesn't happen at the state level down. It needs to come from the bottom up and allow us to support what they're doing and try to make that happen for a community. So it's all about planning. Last question.
I'm the director of Main Street Demopolis, and we are blessed with a lot of two-story buildings in downtown Demopolis. So we've worked really, really hard to recruit upstairs living and apartment development in downtown, which is a great place to promote additional housing. But the cost of building is so incredibly high that we just celebrated the opening of 6 new apartments in downtown Demopolis last week. But they're having to do nightly rentals because we can't keep up with the per month rental rate doesn't work with how much it costs to build out these apartments. Our state historic preservation commission has denied applications for historic tax credits for things that they would have approved on a federal level. Main Street, Alabama has really gone to bat for us and advocated for some of these tax credit applications, which could reimburse some of our investors and developers 35 to more percent for what they put in. But they're getting denied those requests because of Lord knows what. Is there anything you can do to support Main Street, Alabama, and helping to advocate for relaxing those standards so that we can give cities what they need and restore our historic districts at the same time?
So you're telling me that you know some people in this area that's being denied?
Absolutely.
Please get that to me. I sit on that commission.
Great.
I score those projects. Okay? I score those projects. I sit on those commissions because it is set up to where a certain percentage of the money is to go to rural areas before, if we don't apply in a certain period of time, then it will just be put back in the pool for everybody else. But we have a rural piece to where it is just specifically for rural communities. I sit on that committee and I score those projects once every time they come up around. Just scored some just the other day. Okay? I need to know who those are. Thank you.
Listen. All right. Well, we're going to wrap it up. We're going to ask Commissioner Austin to come back and show us down. And we thank you all for coming. Let's give yourselves an applause. Bob, hey, Bob, you keep up with the news. I like that. Seeing Bobby on public television. We thank y'all for
everybody for coming out. We thank Senator Singleton for answering questions, Representative Jackson, Representative McCampbell. Like I said, they're really working for you. We need to know that. And they're open door, they have open door policy. If you need to contact one of these individuals, they are more than happy to talk to you if you got something going on. I think you can ask anybody in the room that has been dealing with them here lately, and they're very accessible to everybody. One other thing, any local officials that's here, stand up. Elected officials, if you're an elected official, I want you to stand up. Stand up. All elected officials. I want you to give these people a hand. They work really hard day in and day out. We got Sean and Rob and Kurt and Jim over there. Sheriff, did you stand up, Sheriff? Okay, all right. They're working hard on the Health and Science School. I thank y'all for all that y'all doing. I'm serious, man. I know that y'all put many hours in on this project, and we can't give you anything but praise for doing that. I think that this is a game changer for Marengo County, and it's just the state of Alabama, but Marengo County in general. We're gonna reap the benefits of the harvest for this. Anything is down? We good? We good? Okay. Got some door prizes?
Yeah, we can give everybody a number, though, we have them. Compliments of, my representative, Thomas Jackson.
Well, come on, door prizes so people can go home.
There you have a Gumptown,
If you don't have a ticket, please raise
Marengo
your
County
hand.
Town Hall, hosted by Representatives Steve Jackson, AJ McCampbell, and Senator Bobby Singleton. Gumptown, we be everywhere.